Public anthropologist. All right. So, what is public anthropology? Public anthropology, in my own words, brings the anthropological perspective outside the academic world and into the real world. It applies the anthropological mindset to real world encounters and events. The goal of public anthropology is usually to better a society and to expose and analyze the inner workings of that society's functioning. Public anthropology is also broad. It makes connections between big topics that address large groups of people, instead of the smaller, more concentrated subject areas and issues that you'd see in field work of like a cultural anthropologist, like the examples we see in class. The public anthropologist works to find the bigger patterns within the larger societies in order to understand how and why they function the way they do. One quote that I found really helpful from What is Public Anthropology by Maximilian C. Forte says, public anthropology seeks to address broad critical concerns in ways that others beyond the discipline are able to understand what anthropologists can offer to the reframing and easing, if not necessarily always resolving, of present day dilemmas. I find that public anthropology makes anthropology a more accessible concept also to non academics or people who aren't experts within the field. So, some similarities and differences between public and applied anthropology. They're very similar concepts, I found, so it was kind of hard to figure out the differences, but I found that public anthropology is more the study and analysis of the functioning of societies, whereas applied anthropology is the actual action that then takes place after the analysis to address the issues or situations that are found. Public anthropology is also more broad and looks more at the whole as opposed to the specific situations that applied anthropology works to resolve. I find it also really interesting how both of these fields are aimed at helping the public, but also they're both inherently connected to colonialism. One of the essays that I read while researching this, titled Reclaiming Applied Anthropology, Its Past, Present, and Future, explains how it's necessary to acknowledge its harmful history in order to change it into a more helpful and aware field of study, which I found really cool. So what does public anthropology do for the public? This quote I found was really cool, so I'll just read it. It seeks to expose private dynamics and claims, making the private public allows broad democratic constituencies to better understand and, through that understanding, to more effectively address a problem. It also allows others to evaluate the degree to which those doing a particular task are or are not successful. I think anthropology in general is useful in that it gives us all perspective. It allows us to think critically about who we are as a people. Now, public anthropology especially opens up that conversation analysis into the public sphere. It helps us to hold our own societies accountable so that we can have fair and efficient systems in place. However, like I also explained in the previous slide, applied anthropology, along with cultural anthropology in general, have roots in colonialism. So it's easier for the intentions to maybe be good in the anthropologist's eyes, but to actually be harmful to the chosen subject or subjects. These two quotes that I put in this slide interact in a really interesting way, because what really is public anthropology exposing, and how can we ensure that the actions we take with applied anthropology after the analysis aren't rooted in a colonizer's mindset, or aren't causing more harm or allowing a faulty system to continue healing its society. And then the next two examples that I have of public anthropology in action show two really different results I found. So the first one is a step beyond anthropology. This example is definitely showing, I felt, the more positive effects of public anthropology. This new program that's been created at Goucher College will teach students how to combine ideas of sustainability with anthropology in order to sustain cultures that are being lost to modernization across the globe. It will immerse anthropologists in these cultures and environments in order for them to understand them and protect them. I found this really cool because it's almost the opposite of what anthropology was back when colonialism was at its high. Because anthropology from a colonizer's perspective works to learn the culture and understand it so that they can dominate it in a way, whereas this concept of cultural sustainability is the opposite of that. They want to study the cultures so that they can protect them and they can let them grow and flourish. The next example I have is maybe not as positive, but it's also not really negative. This article focuses on Steve Barnett, a cultural anthropologist who was recruited by Plan Metrics, a consulting firm in Chicago. He brings his anthropological perspective to help solve customer service situations for clients of planned metrics. He helps these companies better understand their customers so that they can continue selling their products. The reason I say it's neither positive or negative is because it isn't really actively helping many people. It's helping the companies to continue selling products. But is that kind of really a noble thing? I don't really know. It's kind of just what he's doing, not necessarily him changing the system, more so just learning how it works so he can make it function more smoothly. But this situation kind of makes me think, like, does public anthropology always necessarily better a society, or does it mainly just work to make the society function more smoothly? Um, and I thought that was just kind of an interesting thought to have. That is it, though. So thank you for listening.